Today we will learn about the European exploration and the discoveries of the Americas. This really starts in the 1400s with Europe being an extreme power. They were the power continent of the world, which means that they had the most military advancements, they had the best military technology, the best weapons, the best ships. They also had the most exploration advancements, so they were able, in the countries in Europe, were able to travel to routes such as Europe. Actually, Europe had already found Asia, with Marco Polo being kind of the explorer, and he found Asia, and with Asia came gold, it came spices, it became silks, all this stuff, and all the Europeans really liked that, and they started exploring the world more and more to find other things like they found in Asia. With this cool stuff that they found, they decided that maybe they should conquer Asian countries, Asian empires, such as China, the Ottoman Empire, and other nations. This was also pretty prevalent in Africa as well. That they learned that this conquest led to a lot of wealth. It led to a lot of money for their countries, and it helped their countries out tremendously. And so they almost became addicted to this exploration. Now, we've all heard of Christopher Columbus, right? 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Right? We've all heard of that. And really, Christopher Columbus was just another explorer, a European explorer. He was from the country of Spain, which I will show you later on the map. But in reality, Asia was the big moneymaker for European countries at this time. And Christopher Columbus wanted to find a faster water route to Asia. Because on this map I will show you, it took a long time to get to Asia. It took a lot of effort, and he wanted to make that a simpler process. His main motivation for this exploration was profit. It was to make money. That's just kind of how the world turns, unfortunately. He wanted to make this trip to Asia a quicker trip, and a quicker trip meant you're getting money faster. Obviously, at this time, Europeans did not know of the Americas. They did not know of the North and South American continents. They did not know that they were going to run into another people, another country. They did not know they were going to run into natives. Alright, to give you a little perspective about what's going on at this period of time, this is Europe right here. This is where kind of the power countries were. Currently, in Spain right here, you would have to travel around Africa, which Europeans had already conquered some countries in this continent. They would have to sail all around Africa and then get to Asia right here. That took them a long time. Okay, what Christopher Columbus was looking to do is he was looking to sail right here from Spain and just hopefully, boom, get to Asia. But like I said, they didn't know about this continent or this continent. And so that's where Christopher Columbus ran into the new world that he discovered. I think it's also important, since we're becoming young historians, that we realize that Christopher Columbus was not the first to discover the Americas. There's actually strong primary source evidence that indicates that there were at least 3 other expeditions that discovered the Americas. In 9000 BCE, there was actually a discovery from Siberia to Alaska, which makes sense because that's how the Native Americans crossed over. Okay, Siberia is right here. There is a little bit of ocean in between Alaska, but still that cross is, based on evidence to have been made. Okay, the next one was in 1000 Common Era. And this was from Greenland or Iceland to the Cape Cod area in Massachusetts. So Greenland, Iceland's right here, Greenland's right here. There is evidence that shows that possibly they could have came to kind of the Cape Cod area and then back. And then there's also in 1311 CE, there was a discovery from West Africa to Haiti, which Haiti is actually the area that Christopher Columbus landed. So West Africa is kind of right here, and that discovery to Haiti about right here, there's evidence that showed that that could have been possible as well. Now, kind of why do you ask, is Columbus named a person that discovered the Americas? Well, he wrote everything down in his journal. And there was an invention called the printing press. It printed newspapers. It gave news to people. It wasn't just by word of mouth. And when he arrived back from Spain from his journeys, all of his discoveries were printed in newspapers and sent out to everyone. Therefore, it is very, very strong historical evidence from these primary sources that he discovered the Americas. As you can probably guess, there was a large impact on Columbus's discoveries of the Americas. So this news with the printing press traveled fast across Europe, traveled fast across Spain, and there was almost a rush to kind of get over there and explore these new areas of land as fast as they could. The countries saw this as money, money, money. They were ready to conquer new land and obtain wealth as fast as they could. It's kind of the early bird gets the worm. They wanted to be the first ones there. Therefore, these voyages triggered a great transfer of people, plants, animals, food, and diseases back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean. Because of this discovery, there were ships going back and forth almost constantly after the news. This kind of exchange of goods is called the Columbian Exchange, mostly because Christopher Columbus was the first one to discover, and he kind of started this exchange and all of this travel. So this brought food. It brought corn, potatoes, and squash to Europe. Some of these foods they had never seen or eaten before. So it kind of brought them a new variety of foods, which greatly helped that continent. It also introduced wheat and rice to the Americas. These are two crops that the Americas had not seen before. So the main thing with the Columbian Exchange is it really did help the exchange of food. Another thing it did is it domesticated animals like cows and pigs. So before Columbus's discovery, these animals were roaming free in the Americas. Horses were roaming free, that sort of thing. With the Europeans coming over, they kind of fenced off these animals and they domesticated them and used them more for their meat and their food purposes. This exchange may sound very positive, but unfortunately the Native Americans were the ones that very much suffered from this exchange. They died in very, very big numbers from diseases like smallpox that were carried from sailors from Europe. They carried them across the ocean and introduced those diseases to the Native Americans, and there was no medicine. There was nothing that could stop pretty much these diseases from killing 90% of the native population in the Americas. Still, that did not stop Spanish conquistadors, or kind of explorers, leaders of explorations, from coming to the Americas, and their main goal was to create a new empire for Spain. Remember, at this time, it was all about wealth, all about conquest for these countries. Obviously, the other European countries are going to hop on board with trying to conquer as much of this new land as they could. So many other European countries attempted to do the same. They attempted to send people over and try to create these empires in the new continents that they had discovered. As you can see, this map shows kind of the routes that other European countries took to come to the Americas. As you can see, the Dutch is going to be in the red arrows there, the English in the blue, the French is going to be in the green, and the gold in the Spanish. And we've obviously been talking about the Spanish. But these countries are going to try to come over, and they're going to try to establish those empires. They're going to try to establish colonies, and this is going to have a large effect on how our nation is going to be shaped and how the Native Americans are going to be affected by this. Obviously, this is going to be a main theme that we'll learn about at the beginning of the year.